jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get.
Think he's insane though?
I don't know. I don't even think it matters. I mean, it's a lot of it is.
But then it's just another.
I just think the story ends with him, right? Wrong. Uneasy hints while talking about Diddy's legal situation, and it definitely turned heads. What sounded like a casual chat actually suggested this could go way beyond one person, with deeper power structures quietly in play, and some people think saying it out loud wasn't the smartest move. This video breaks down how influence stacks up, starting with Diddy and moving toward higher figures who almost never face real scrutiny. When you look closer, patterns pop up, familiar names repeat, and big questions hang in the air about why certain people always seem protected, no matter how loud the noise gets. Rogan's comments stood out because they hinted at how these networks move in silence. The industry isn't just about fame, it's about access, leverage, and connections that don't usually make the headlines, and that's where things start to feel seriously uncomfortable. These connections run deep, crossing business, media, and culture in ways most people never stop to think about. It paints a picture where some figures stay protected, while others get hit with the full spotlight and no shield at all. At first, plenty of people brushed it off, acting like nothing was happening, like everyone somehow missed the warning signs. But before pointing fingers at who might really be pulling strings behind the scenes, it's important to understand what Diddy is actually facing, because without that context, none of this clicks. Diddy is currently being held as legal proceedings move forward following an arrest and formal case. Authorities claim he misused his influence and connections in ways that put others in uncomfortable and inappropriate situations, according to official filings, and that alone sent shockwaves through the industry.
If he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right? You know who said Luke from 2 Live Crew?
Yeah, he said he was to leave early.
Yeah, when Luke from 2 Live Crew is leaving early, like, you got a wild party.
Some allegations focus on exclusive private events described as tightly controlled spaces. Reports say certain attendees later questioned whether their privacy and boundaries were respected, raising serious concerns about consent. As more verified details came out, additional individuals shared accounts tied to the situation, all handled carefully with a focus on legal responsibility and protection. What shocked a lot of people is the growing idea that this situation might involve more than just one main figure. Based on multiple discussions, Diddy may not have been acting alone, and some think he wasn't even the top level of influence. Joe Rogan brought up Jeffrey Epstein, and that's when the vibe instantly changed. Listeners started noticing eerie similarities in how high-profile cases usually play out, and the conversation went from relaxed to serious real quick. One guest even questioned whether Diddy might one day speak openly about others tied to the situation, and Rogan clearly stopped to think hard about that. Rogan pointed out a pattern that's hard to ignore. Time after time, one person takes the fall, while wider networks never really get addressed publicly.
I think there's so many fucking powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy parties? Have you been paying attention to the trial?
Oh, yeah.
Trials.
To ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as the hip-hop is fine with his behaviors.
Epstein,
there's
it's
murder
another
cases.
Ghislaine Maxwell, where
there's
somebody gets
murder
indicted
cases.
and nobody else. Indicted for trafficking kids to
Right.
no
to,
one.
to no one. Right. What is the next crazy thing that's going to explode in the news? Is Bill Clinton's going to have an OnlyFans? Like, what is going to happen? What is the next thing that's going to make us all go, what the is going on?
It's coming. You know,
How many guys were on video saying, ain't no party like a Diddy party? How many people like openly talked about being there?
LeBron?
Yeah, how about Ashton Kutcher? All these people. Like, you guys all went, you didn't see nothing?
He wasn't accusing anyone, but he did question why official outcomes so often leave big gaps, and why accountability at the highest levels always feels just out of reach. Rogan then brought up how several big-name celebrities have openly talked over the years about attending high-profile industry gatherings. Old clips and quotes started resurfacing online, including lines like, "Ain't no party like a Diddy party," which used to be laughed off as jokes. Rogan didn't sound aggressive, but the question hit hard. He wondered how so many people could be around that scene and later claim they saw nothing strange at all. To be clear, there's no proof that any of these individuals were involved in wrongdoing. Still, the lack of public responses has kept the internet buzzing, and that silence is exactly what people keep breaking down. The talk then shifted to real power in the industry. Rogan pointed out that while artists take the heat, top executives move quietly above it all. He mentioned Lucian Grange as an example of corporate influence, not an accusation. Things escalated when Grange's name appeared in a civil lawsuit filed by Lil Rod. And even without claims of guilt, that mention alone sent online discussion into overdrive.
There's only one person.
Oh, go on.
And I call him Sean. That's Jay-Z. We call each other Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody else could call me Sean.
He's the only person who's Sean approved.
There's not a single person that
outside of family.
That should be outside of my mother.
Okay,
That should be calling me. Yeah, they should be calling me Sean.
Commentators have pushed a broader theory that major music corporations create the business setup that lets powerful figures move with serious freedom. These companies don't just handle music. They control branding, events. Public court filings raise questions about whether certain executives knew about high-profile gatherings tied to industry figures. The documents describe professional and social connections, but they stop short of criminal conclusions, and every claim remains an allegation that any references involving inappropriate behavior or younger individuals are treated with extreme care. The focus stays on legal responsibility and protection, not rumors or graphic detail, and that line matters a lot. Public voices like Candace Owens questioned why some major outlets were slow to cover the lawsuit itself. She framed it as a media accountability issue, pointing out how executive-level influence can quietly shape what stories get attention. One name that keeps popping up is Jay-Z.
Thought these words would come out my mouth, but Candace Owens is onto something, and that did not feel comfortable at all. So Candace says the reason mainstream news is not picking up this lawsuit, is not paying attention to Diddy at all, is because of this man right here, Lucian Grange. He is one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and music. And he been up in Diddy's room. So this man right here is Sir Lucian Charles Grange. He's been the CEO of Universal Music Group since 2010, so you know he done seen some shit. So I had to go to the damn documents. I had to see if this man was actually named, and he is. As you can see, it says Lucian Charles Grange, and it also says Universal Music Group. On top of that, it says Ethiopia. I cannot fuck up her last name. I refuse to. But she was also a big person in Universal Music Group. And then Christina Coramham, Lord forgive. But she was like Diddy's second hand.
These two aren't just collaborators. They've been tightly linked in the music business for decades. Diddy once said only two people call him by his first name, his mother and Jay-Z, and that detail alone sparked non-stop online chatter. There's no proof of wrongdoing, but that level of access is rare in an industry built on status and distance. Then there's Jaguar Wright, known for saying what others won't. After a strong televised interview about industry power, clips became hard to find, and that raised more questions than answers. Some say it was routine editing, others weren't convinced, and the lack of clarity only kept the debate alive. During that interview, Wright asked a question many fans have whispered about for years. How do certain powerful figures dodge tough questions on major TV platforms even when online rumors won't go away? These are opinions, not proven if. People also noticed when a well-known attorney tied to Jay-Z showed up in legal discussions connected to Diddy. Whether that was coincidence, overlap, or routine legal work hasn't been confirmed, but it definitely caught attention. Jay-Z has never addressed the online chatter, and in today's media world, silence doesn't always feel neutral. To some, it looks strategic. Joe Rogan often talks about this on his podcast, pointing out how top-level players rarely face controversy head-on. Instead, elite lawyers and crisis teams quietly handle things behind closed doors, staying invisible on purpose. Names like Alan Grubman sometimes surface in these talks. He's a powerful entertainment attorney, not a public figure, but his influence runs deep. Lawyers like this connect artists, executives, and corporations, managing contracts, confidentiality, and long-term risk. Rogan compares these setups to sealed systems. When information stays locked down, stories fade, and attention moves on fast. The theory floating around isn't that one person controlled everything. Instead, many believe certain figures acted as key players inside a much bigger system of influence and access. That sparks big questions about private events documentation. Some think the real answers sit far above the public faces, with corporate leaders and executives who rarely make headlines but quietly shape entire industries. Online claims about archived material tied to past events haven't been verified, but the idea alone keeps people uneasy. When power shifts fast, buried information can resurface, and that possibility makes certain circles nervous.
Between Diddy and Epstein, it's good. There's probably several thousand hours of footage here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I should say, I think you voted for Biden.
I'd like to see a matchup of those, we call it the top 100 puppet masters on the Epstein client list.
Do you think there's some overlap?
Strong overlap. Strong overlap.
When are we going to see that list, do you think?
I don't know.
Will that ever come out, do you think?
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes. And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes.
In public conversations, the names of famous billionaires have sometimes popped up in online speculation, not as accusations, but as examples of how nervous things get when transparency becomes the topic. When Joe Rogan once asked Elon Musk whether powerful people seemed uncomfortable during these moments, Elon's short, direct reply instantly grabbed attention. That led Rogan into what he calls the facilitator model. The idea isn't about proving wrongdoing, but about how ultra-private environments are built for high-profile people who demand discretion. These spaces are controlled, invite-only, and designed to feel completely sealed off. Rogan explained that when privacy is promised, phones disappear and secrecy is expected, the power dynamic shifts fast. Whoever controls that space holds influence, even without illegal behavior. The real question wasn't blame, but structure. Did these setups grow into something bigger than anyone intended? Elon later mentioned Jennifer Lopez only to highlight proximity and awareness, not wrongdoing, keeping the focus on connections rather than accusations. When people spend years inside someone's inner circle, it's natural to wonder if warning signs were ever noticed behind closed doors. That question alone made a lot of listeners uneasy. If someone saw nothing, many find that hard to believe.
So you have these guys, like a Jeffrey Epstein type guy, who works with the elite of the elite clientele. It's all movie stars, big-time politicians, world leaders, scientists, Nobel Prize winners, and they all meet together and have fascinating conversations and cocktails, and there's beautiful girls everywhere. Of course. What a great idea.
Right.
And if you're naive and you don't understand honeypots.
Here's the quote from Maria Farmer, who was one of the accusers from what was inside the house in New York.
Okay, she said, there were monitors inside this cabinet. I looked on the cameras and I saw toilet, bed, toilet. She said, visibly spooked. Like, I'm never going to use the restroom here and I'm never going to sleep here. You know what I mean? It was very obvious that they were like monitoring private moments. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Maria Farmer was the one who worked at Epstein's office in New York, I think.
And this was the house, Jamie?
Yeah, I was looking up stuff on the house. That was like what they
I
found.
wonder if the
in
house still has fucking cameras in it somewhere that they haven't found yet.
They definitely, don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to scan the shit out of that house. You'd have to take the walls apart. There's probably listening devices inside the walls. Like, who knows? If this was like really an intelligence operation, yeah, they probably had that house fully wired.
If they did see something and stayed quiet, the reasons matter. Fear, loyalty, reputation, or protecting someone higher up the ladder. These are the questions people are now asking out loud. When authorities searched properties connected to Diddy, reports said a massive amount of digital material was collected. Not a few files, but an extensive archive that instantly raised eyebrows across the industry. Commentators like Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal discuss theories about why that kind of material might exist. Not sensational claims, but ideas tied to power dynamics where documentation becomes leverage or protection. Online chatter also suggested control over this material may have shifted, and that uncertainty alone made celebrity circles nervous. When something so public doesn't become central to a case, people naturally wonder what else is being handled quietly behind closed doors. It pushes the idea that some material carries way more weight than anyone realizes. The real questions don't go away. Who controls that information now? What does it really show? And how would the industry react if private moments involving major figures suddenly came out? That's the most unsettling part. Not what's known, but what might still be hidden. When privacy is tightly controlled, it raises one uncomfortable question. Who decides the narrative? Some viewers pointed to a moment in 50 Cent's documentary where editing choices stood out, especially involving Bishop T.D. Jakes during broader industry discussions. Many felt it was intentional, not accusatory, but designed to spark conversation. And judging by the internet's reaction, it absolutely did. When Bishop T.D. Jakes was publicly asked about the rumors, his response grabbed attention fast. He didn't address details, instead urging people to move on, which caught many off guard. He spoke generally about forgiveness and accountability, saying faith handles repentance and that he personally had nothing to repent for. For some view, to many watching, it sounded less like a clear denial and more like sidestepping speculation, which only fueled more debate. Jaguar Wright jumped in with her own take, framing it as a power and access issue rather than specific actions. She argued that elite spaces are built on influence and visibility, where relationships can later be leveraged. That perspective highlights how secrecy and power collide at the top of entertainment. Former security professional Gene Deal raised questions that a lot of people couldn't shake. He questioned why a well-known religious figure would be anywhere near events insiders have described as questionable in tone. He also mentioned long-standing rumors about recorded material that could one day surface, and said if that happens, the conversation would change. Some independent researchers have even tried mapping these connections visually in pyramid-style charts. When laid out like that, the hierarchy starts to feel disturbingly logical. At the lower levels, commentators often place major artists like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Above them, people point to industry gatekeepers, executives, and media power brokers who control access and visibility. Names like Oprah Winfrey and Clive Davis come up, not as accusations, but as examples of centralized influence. At the very top, some believe there are figures rarely seen publicly who quietly shape multiple industries at once. Dave Chappelle talked about this feeling years ago, long before it went mainstream. He described the entertainment industry as a system built on control and pressure, not just creativity. When asked why he didn't simply move elsewhere, his answer hit hard. He said changing platforms wouldn't fix the structure, only swap out who's in charge. That stuck with a lot of people. If someone at his level felt boxed in, it raises real questions about how much freedom actually exists inside the system. After hearing all this, from information leverage to powerful gatekeepers and repeating patterns, what do you think is really going on? Is it all coincidence, or are people finally noticing cracks in something much bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation.